I'm Brittany. I'm a licensed elementary school teacher, but I'm staying home with my 2 kiddos right now to homeschool them and run my business. And today we're going to talk about teaching cause and effect through books. So one of the, I think, most missed opportunities in many public schools, not all classrooms, of course, there are great teachers who teach this, but I think something that a lot of kids miss out on from a young age is learning cause and effect. And I mean, we all know adults who don't understand cause and effect. And this is something that really we need to start teaching from a very young age. This is not something that kids need to be able to think abstractly about, because it's not an abstract concept. It's really not. I mean, really, we start to teach our kids this when we start to discipline them if they're going to stick their finger in a light socket. If you do this, this will happen. If you stick your finger in a light socket, you're going to get hurt. If you suck on a quarter, you're going to choke on it. If you what's something we tell them not to do? Play with matches. You are going to start a fire. You're going to burn yourself. And so this is something that we I don't think a lot of people realize that they are teaching their children, but they do as they get older. The good news is this is something that we can easily address through not just regular life situations, but books. And honestly, that's a great way to do it, because it's in a way that kids can dissect and they can look at and they can kind of chew on in their head, and you can talk about without always having to do it when someone's in trouble or when you're trying to warn someone about something. Cause and effect is really a concept that children need to be able to understand and to apply in real life. They need to understand that if for everything that happens, everything that happens, there is an effect. It's, no matter what you have, for every action, there's a reaction. And my daughter and I talk about this all the time. We started when she was little, and we were talking about things that would happen if she did these things. If you take someone else's medicine, you can get very sick. So like I said, these are concepts that we do teach our children, but I think it's something we need to actually bring out vocabulary, actually talk about what is a cause and what is an effect. Actions and reactions. And so one of my favorite ways to do this, and they did this in... Again, not maybe quite to this depth, but in the kindergarten classrooms that I was an aide in when I was working back on the Air Force Base a few years ago, they took the, if you give a book, actually this is one of the classrooms, if you give a book, this is if you give a mouse a cookie, there are many more. But they took, if you give a mouse a cookie, and the teacher read it with the children, and then they went and they made their own. If this happened, what would happen then? And that's a really fun thing that you could do with your kid. Obviously depending on the grade. If your child's in 3rd grade, they're not going to want to make one of these probably, but especially for young children, this is a really fun idea of a way to make a book, a way to organize the book, is copy this and have them make their own. Some of these books are much better for the cause and effect than others. I like them all, but this is probably one of the best ones still. If you give a mouse a cookie, he's going to ask for a glass of milk. When you give him the milk, and then, it just keeps on talking about what happens. This happens, and then this happens, and then this happens because of that. And yes, it's silly. Obviously, mice don't talk. Dogs, they can't eat donuts, they should. A moose probably shouldn't eat a muffin. But, it's a really, really great way. It's a fun way to introduce a concept without it always having to be all doom and gloom and I'm warning you about this. So these books are so much fun. So we have If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, still probably the best one of them all. That's the first one that came out. And these are by Laura Joff Numeroff, and it's illustrated by Felicia Bond. And I love these. Every time... There are few kids' books that as soon as new one comes out, I will run and buy it. These are one of them. I will run and buy the new one of these every single time one comes out. If you give a moose a muffin, if you give a dog a donut, if you take a mouse to the movies. They actually have a TV series, If You Give a Mouse a Cookie, on Amazon Prime, and it's cute. It actually is pretty cute. And it does kind of follow the format of the books, I guess. The adventures are new. They're kind of based on the books, they're new adventures. They've got some new characters. They're actually pretty cute. It's a pretty cute TV show. They do have some of them things, I think, like meditation and yoga. So you watch it, you decide what's okay for your family. This is If You Give a Mouse a Brownie. This is her newest one. Again, super cute. If You Take a Mouse to School, also super cute. If You Give a Pig a Pancake, this one was lots of fun. If You Give a Cat a Cupcake, this is probably my least favorite. We still have it. It's still fun to read. There weren't quite as many... I felt like the natural follow-ups of this happens and this happens weren't quite as smooth as some of the other ones, but it's still a fun one. If You Give a Pig a Party, that's cute too. So anyways, those are a great way to start for the little bitties. It's fun. Again, you can make your own book with your child. Oh, well, what would happen if your teddy bear was alive and we gave your teddy bear an ice cream cone? What would happen then? Oh, he might get all messy. What do you think he would do if he was messy? How do you think he might react? And then you can talk about ways that the teddy bear might react if the teddy bear came to life. And you can actually have the child help write the book. You write the words, of course, but you write down what the child says, and you talk about different possibilities, different possible outcomes, cause and effect. Again, this is really laying the foundation for concepts that they will use as they get older. And again, we see so many adults and so many teenagers who don't understand this. They don't seem to get, if I do this, if I do X, Y will happen. I probably shouldn't do X if I don't want Y to happen. It's basic. You'd think it's basic common sense, but this is actually a skill that needs to be taught. It needs to be addressed. Now, as your kiddos get older, this wouldn't work with my 2-year-old, for instance. Now he likes these books. Now these next ones wouldn't work with my 2-year-old, but they work with my 5-year-old. So Where the Wild Things Are. This is a fantastic book. I believe it won the Caldecott. I think that was the one it won. Either the Caldecott or I think that was the award that it won. I could be wrong. It won an award. So Max he's naughty, and because he's naughty, his mom sends him to his room, and suddenly this magic forest grows, and we've used it so much the pages are kind of turning on their own. Forest grows in his room, and why did Max get in trouble? Why didn't he get to come down and eat dinner with the family, or however they eat dinner? Well, because he was doing naughty things. He wore his wolf suit and made that, well, I guess the wolf suit wouldn't be the reason, but he made mischief. He chased the dog, he nailed things to the walls, he talked back to his mother, and he was sent to bed. And so, cause and effect, why was he sent to his room? Oh, because he did these things. Would he have been sent to his room if he didn't do these things? So, once again, just this is the kind of stuff you can pull this out in so many fiction books. Why did this happen? Oh, because this happened. Now, I will say these are a little harder when you're reading a book that's more to inform. A book about someone going to the library, it probably won't have as much information, as many lessons as like this kind of book would. But a book with a story that has progressive movement, that's going to be the kind of book that you're going to be able to talk about this. Corduroy, also a fantastic book. There's actually a second book, at least one more book in the series. It's also really cute. Okay, so Corduroy lives in the toy department, and he walks by, and no one buys him, but this little girl comes along, and her mom won't let her buy him because the mom spent too much money, and he's already missing a button. So why didn't they buy him? Oh, because the mother has already spent too much money, and he's missing a button. He's not as desirable because he's missing a button. And then he goes on this adventure and pulls a button off a mattress and falls, and the security guard comes. Well, why did the security guard come? Because he heard a crash. Why was there a crash? Because Corduroy pulled a button off and fell and knocked over a lamp. So again, you don't have to even read this and make the full lesson about cause and effect. It's just something you can talk about when you're reading books. Just something to notice when you're discussing these things. Because we all should be discussing the books that we read with our children. Now, if you don't want to stop the book every 5 seconds and discuss something, that's totally fine. You can read the whole thing and then go back. it depends on how your kiddo reads, but these are, again, things that you can bring into the conversation when you're digesting the book with the kiddos. All right, now these are some of my favorite R.C. Sproul books for helping kids understand higher level theology. Oh my goodness, he wrote these amazing books for children, and this book, The Lightlings, it was one of the things that helped my daughter actually get past her fear of the dark. And so these are more serious, more realistic concepts. And so they're allegory they go along usually with the gospel. These three do, at least. I haven't read all of his books, but okay, so there's this part where they're called the lightlings, the little lightlings. They can't stay in the beautiful light forest that they were once in because they disobeyed the king, and so they have to go live in the dark. Well, why did they have to go live in the dark? Why couldn't they stay? And so once again, you can discuss things like that, and then you can bring it into real life. Adam and Eve were in the garden and they were kicked out. Well, why were they kicked out? Because they chose to disobey God. And so these are, once again, just great books to really bring in the to mesh, what are the words I'm looking for, to mesh reality with fiction and to help bridge that gap in children's understanding. The Lightlings is fantastic, and again, these would probably be good for age four on up. My 2-year-old would not understand this yet. He might like the pictures, but he wouldn't be able to discuss the cause and effect of this type of book yet. The Poison Cup, also very good. The Priest with the Dirty Clothes. All of these have very clear, cut and dried cause and effect sections, and you can relate them back to stories in the Bible and reality, sin and what it does to our world and to us. Okay, and a great way to, again, bring what you're talking about in fiction to reality is through nonfiction books. This is not a story, for example, but tornadoes don't just randomly appear out of thin air. They are caused by thunderstorms. Well, what happens to make a tornado actually appear? And so you can discuss the cause and effect in a very real way with what's happening outside or what happens outside in other states. Using, once again, actual science. So this one is called Tornadoes, Wild Weather by Lorraine Jean Hopping and illustrated by Jody Wheeler. And it's a Scholastic book. And I will link all of these on, if you go to my website, I'll have it linked in the description here. I have links to all of these books so that if you can't find them at your library, you can buy them if you decide you want to. I will say they're affiliate links, but that doesn't charge anything extra to you. It just means that if you use the link to purchase the book, I get a little tiny bit of money, which helps me to keep running my business. Okay, so another one, totally amazing, natural disasters. My daughter loves natural disasters. My daughter's she's a nonfiction fiend. She just loves them. So, what caused the city to look like this? Oh, it was an earthquake. Well, what causes earthquakes? It has, I think, Pompeii in here, floods, and even this one talks about the Great Flood of the Bible. Let's see, it has pictures of people fishing outside their store. And you can bring this into, if you're able to go on field trips with your family, obviously not right now, but normally when we're not in the middle of a pandemic, going to the Grand Canyon and saying, okay, how do you think this immense hole in the ground was created? Going to the ocean and finding, those beautiful, beautiful smooth rocks and saying, how do you think that these rocks became smooth? And, looking it up then afterwards, after you talk about why you think maybe the rocks were brought in and they were all smooth and they're by the ocean, looking it up, checking online, looking in books, documentaries, seeing, and it really helps cement the natural world in the mind of a child. And it's teaching multiple things at once. It's teaching science, it's teaching cause and effect, teaching geography. There's so many skills that can be brought in when you're looking at this kind of stuff. Lightning, this is a Seymour Simon book. I love Seymour Simon books. My kids do too. What causes lightning? What causes thunder? This can also help kids when they're afraid of the world. Now, you don't want to give children something that's going to terrify them, that they're not ready for yet. But if they're afraid that lightning's going to strike them in the middle of the day, we can talk about how lightning doesn't just come from the sun. You know, we're not going to get struck by lightning in the middle of a day with no clouds in the sky. Lightning has a cause, or you know, it has a cause. There's a reason it happens. It's not out of the blue, and it can help bring order to children's world and structure. So yes, those are just a few of the books. I'm sure there are almost an infinite number of books that you could use to discuss this kind of thing, but I highly recommend just discussing it when you're reading with kids, when you're watching movies with kids, when you are baking with kids. Why does this happen? What caused it? So yes, it's a really important skill that kids need to cement, not just as a skill itself, understanding cause and effect, but really the way they view the world, the way that they make decisions, why they make certain, you know, it will inform how they make decisions when they get older. And as parents, we really all pray that our kids will make good decisions. Because doing things like sticking keys in the light socket, not that we've ever had anyone try that over here, not at this house, thankfully. And thankfully the key was too fat to fit in the light socket. But you know, my son likes to shove all his food in his mouth at once. We're talking every single meal, it feels like sometimes. We're talking about when you put all the food in your mouth, you will choke because it is too much for you to swallow. So it'll help our children make better informed decisions, and it will give us, again, another way to digest the books and to get everything out of them that we can. Well, I hope this was helpful. I love doing book reviews for kids' books, but I have a hard time limiting myself to just one. So you just got a huge stack of books that we reviewed and talked about, and I'm sure you will see some of these books again in the future because there's so many things to discuss in different books. But yes, so if you have any questions, please contact me. You can email me at Brittany Perl, that's BRITTANYPERL @gmail.com. You can go to my website, brittanyperl.com, and I have, again, the links there for books like these. I will have the video there. I usually put a little bit more of an explanation to go along with the video on the blog post. You should join my newsletter if you haven't, because I am sending out free printables that you can use for homeschooling. I made a hundreds chart for kids. I have a number line that I'm going to be doing a video on soon to show you how to use it. So yeah, there are all sorts of things, and I'm prepping more to put on the site right now, and you'll get to download those and give them for free. So like I said, go ahead and sign up, and I'm sorry for the break. I had a call from my doctor that I've been waiting for. But sign up. I promise not to spam you. I am a mother of 2 small children, and I run two sides of my business from home. I have normal life like clothes and laundry and stuff, so I do not have time to spam anyone. I will be sending out emails to let people know when there are new videos and let them know when there are new downloads. But otherwise, it's going to be, like I said, I promise not to send you random emails for no purpose. All right, well, you have a fantastic day. I like this video if it helped you, and subscribe so that you know when more videos come out, and keep reading on.